Hello, everyone, and welcome to Double the Dice presents Tomb of Annihilation, episode 12. So, last episode, the group got attacked by Sioux monsters, or rather, they got ambushed, or I guess more accurately, they got honeypotted by a cute little monkey who turned out to be a Sioux monster, which they discovered when they realized that speak with animals had no effect on the creature because it's not a beast. And these psychic monkeys screeched in their brains for a while, but everyone managed to survive despite them hanging from their tails and attacking a whole bunch for rapid fire. Then the party took camp, and we had a little bit more social encounters. Mordai asked Yenben if there were any places in Chult that didn't suck, and Yenben said that there were actually a set of hot springs in the Mistcliff Mountains, which would make for a great beach episode if the party makes it that far. Lila asked John about him and how far he was going to go with the party, and to which he responded with, "I have a girlfriend," and it was hilarious and a gross misunderstanding. But not much else happened at that point. And now we begin the morning of day 9. So good morning, our party of adventurers. How are we doing?
Oh, good morning.
Now, Treviathan will not be joining us today, but that is what it is. He'll be back soon, I'm sure. So, same thing we do every morning. Let's check off our insect repellents and roll for weather.
Hooray. Hey, Yenben. No, I'm just kidding.
What? What do y'all want?
Never mind.
You don't think I can do a Yenben?
You can go back
do you
to sleep.
think I didn't have that in my back pocket? Where do you think he got it from? No, I'm kidding. He actually came up with that voice all on his own, and I had no I had no influence on it at all. I'm not going to take credit for that. All right. So we've got rain. What kind of rain have we got? Heavy rain, 1.5 gallons in each rain catcher.
So we're still all filled up, and we got all the water we need.
Great. Everybody not count off your food rations if you haven't. And the rain is going to make travel very unpleasant, but doesn't actually affect anything mechanically.
Okay.
It's not quite hard enough to affect the mechanics, but it's still very unpleasant. So, let's go check out the map of Chult. Does anybody do anything in their... What does everybody's morning routine look like? As we're kind of starting to get rolling.
I think mine would be definitely packing up camp, maybe twice, because, and roll up the bedroll properly and then fit in the bag, so I have to unroll it and re-roll it. It's getting more wet. It's like, probably testing out some new spells, throwing them off into the jungle. It's like, oh, that's what that does. Okay, cool. I dug a hole and then probably clean up the campsite. Got to make it so like we're not here. If I recall correctly, we usually dig a hole for the campfire, but if it was raining over the night, probably not a good idea because that's just gonna cool.
I mean, starting a fire in the rainforest is hard enough to start with, and then you try to do it below, it gets even worse. Not to mention, good luck finding dirt in the rainforest. It's all roots. Right?
Yeah. That's some light. I can cast, create bonfire. That lasts a minute. Yeah. I shall have our fire with my force of will.
There you go. That's one way to do it. There's just like this wet, ashen, like there's where there's wet, and then there's where it's like burnt and embers, and there's nothing in between.
Yep.
No actual flames.
Yep.
And anybody else do anything as they're getting ready to pack up?
Lila's definitely gonna she's gonna make a circuit kind of around the very, like the inner edge of the camp, like the close part of the area around the clearing where they are, looking for any potential plants that she would use, and or making sure that she has all of her spell reagents in order and tidy in her little in her little spell bag.
Nice.
Yeah, for John, he's also looking at his spells, but in his spell book, every night he's seemingly getting more and more powerful too. So he's trying to figure out. Last night he leveled up again. He's now level 3, and so he's got a couple more spells that appeared in his book, and he's desperately learning and trying to figure out his new strengths.
And those off-campus classes, they just boost in your brain power.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Two
Practical
nights.
Examinations.
Like,
school is holding me back.
You can spend 1 week on Chult and survive, or 5 years of wizard school. Have you get the same amount of brain power. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, but I think I'll still stick with school, please.
Right. I think
Also, still probably a fair amount of an adjustment period getting used to having that loose hand.
Yeah, 100%. I think he hasn't quite figured out how to use it properly and how to take advantage of it or anything yet. I think he's still kind of in a phase where he's not accepted it fully, but he's definitely not like pushing it away or anything. He's kind of more so ignoring it as if it's still just his hand.
I'd also say it's not it's functionally a familiar, right? But it's still not as it doesn't seem to be as attuned to your needs as say your actual hand would be, right? It no longer feels quite like it's just an extension of your body. There's that little bit of a divide until you start casting spells, and then something about that seems to strengthen that connection.
Interesting. Yeah, so maybe using some cantrips like control flames and firebolt throughout the night with the loose hand.
Do you know the Mage Hand spell yet?
Mage Hand, I don't believe I have that, no.
Okay. Well, as you cast Produce Flame and Firebolt, it's the same as before, where whenever you start casting a spell, it almost just sort of takes the place of where your hand would be, magically charged, almost magnetically connected in those moments. And then as the spell ends, it returns to just sort of being in a ready position. When you go for any period of time without casting spells, it seems to get a little restless. It starts wandering. It crawls on you. At times when you were sleeping, it seemed like it may have crawled. When you woke up this morning, it crawled off. And then when you woke up, it crawled back.
Interesting.
But it does in some way seem to have a mind of its own.
I'm definitely gonna have to spend some time with it in the next little while and see if I can figure out more about it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Have a heart-to-heart.
Have a heart-to-hand heart.
A hand-to-hand?
Hand to hand.
Well, you know what? If you wear your heart on your sleeve,
the hand is pretty close to this sleeve.
there you go. So, anyway, moving right along, Gondolo and Ferrul finish up feeding Zongo and Banana Candy, and they mostly eat on the. They mostly eat just grazing as you move, but with how quickly you guys have been moving, they've been needing to spend that extra time during those rest periods to make sure that they get fed properly. Also spending some time training with Banana Candy to try to help make sure that it is less panicky during combat. And,
Fair enough.
Ferrul walks up and says, well, are we ready to go then? Shall we hit the road? Get a move on?
Yep.
As it were?
Eastward bound, I
Yes.
believe.
Eastward, yes. We'll have to do a little bit of a dipsy doodle, sort of down and then up. Going towards Port Castiglia. Yes, Port Castiglia. I think we'll. Do we want to move there quickly? We might be able to make it there before nightfall if we hurry.
I think so. I think that's the plan. Sooner to town, get a roof over our heads, resupply, get some civilization around us again. Probably be nice before we go on that final stretch.
All right. So let's pick out our roles. I'm guessing we want Yenben on navigating again. And either Ferrul or Gondolo can assist on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody keeping watch?
I think the rest of us will be sort of keeping watch because there's not much more we can do. I'm aware of that as we're moving at a fast pace. Kind of just power walk east and keeping a watch.
Okay, let me just roll a bunch to get rid of the thing there. Okay. So whoever is keeping watch, whoever has the highest perception, go ahead and roll perception with advantage.
My perception is +3.
Mine is
Anybody?
-1, so not me.
I think it might be Lila. Yeah. Go ahead and roll perception at advantage. That is a 17. Okay, cool. So I'm going to roll. Let's get that survival check from Yenben there, Bob the Crow.
Yep. Holy moly. This man's a survivalist.
But you don't roll very good though.
13.
Well, because we are moving at a fast pace, the DC is increased to 20.
Do we get advantage?
He does. Go ahead and roll again because
Okay.
the guys are helping.
There it is.
There we go.
Hey, there we go. Good
Thank
call.
you for
Good
that there, Jay. All right. So now I'll just roll a d4 to see if you get the extra distance. You don't. So you only move 1 hex today.
It's
That's
rainy.
okay.
That makes sense.
That's what we'll chalk it up to. Rolling for encounters. All right. And the travel continues without too much going on. Anybody is, yeah, the travel goes, yeah, you guys, the day ends, you didn't make it quite as far as you wanted to, but it's time for everybody to take that short rest again, or that long rest rather. Who wants to go on first watch?
I will be going on most force watches so I can cast alarm and set up some defenses.
And what about, and then Yenben with you, I believe?
That's what we usually do, I believe.
Okay.
Want to do the same as last night?
Sure. Let's have both of you roll perception checks then.
Yanbang got a 19.
I got a 6. And before we get too deep into it, since you said the forest or the jungle floor is mostly roots, so my mold earth spell would have little to or minimal effect.
Well, there's still roots underneath, right? So you would be able to mold earth, but sometimes there might be, depending on where you do it, the roots may move with the earth, or it might end up kind of like leaving a mesh behind.
Okay.
Of where the roots were. But I feel like most of those roots are going to be connected and going to be pulled with that spell.
Okay. I was just thinking, because before, as we're setting up camp and getting our shifts, I'm gonna ask the group. So since most nights, things bad happen, so I was thinking of ways that we could boost our defenses. Because I set an alarm around. What if I, with the mold earth spell, make a long hole around us? So then, like, anybody coming at us has to jump over the hole to get to us, or vice versa. And with the leftover dirt, make like a little wall.
Yeah, so it's a dish and a berm.
It's a moat.
Like a little bit of an acropolis around your camp sort of thing?
Something like that, yeah, but Mordai doesn't know the word
Less.
for moat, so long hole is the word that he came up with. That's what it is. It's a hole that he just makes it long and kind of like around us, right? That sound good? And the leftover dirt is like a little hill, so like if they like throwing spears at us, we can like crouch down or go prone.
I think you need to find a much more innocuous word than a long hole. How about we call it a moat?
Okay, so if I make a moat, does that sound like a good idea, or is that getting too much of a?
Oh yes, I think that's a splendid idea.
How quickly can you do it? Because mold earth is a cantrip, right?
It is. I can dig a 5-foot square hole in 6 seconds.
So it depends on how big of a moat you want to make. Like, what kind of radius do you want this surrounding area to be? So in 10 minutes you could do what? So in 1 minute you could do 10 squares.
Yep.
So in 10 minutes you could do a lot more. Frankly, yeah, if it's only going to take 10 minutes, you could probably make as nice a moat as you want.
100
You could make a
squares.
5-foot deep moat all around you guys with a pretty decent area.
And the thing is, 5 foot might not be might be too shallow. It's got a 30-foot range. If I'm at the top of the hole looking down, that's like a 30-foot deep hole I could make.
I mean, even just having a 5-foot hole in the ground with a 5-foot berm would give you a lot
big.
of. That's significant.
10 feet, really.
Yeah.
I think you should go for it.
But one thing,
It's a classic thing.
Gondola will chime up and say, it makes for a really good defensive position, but if we're looking to be inconspicuous, it is very conspicuous. It may attract attention.
What does the party think? Because last time we just got attacked by bugs and they just kind of showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And because as far as like I can remember, it doesn't feel like going inconspicuous was helpful. So go loud, go crazy, and see how that works. And if bad things happen tonight, oops, I'm sorry.
Were you using your alarm for the last time we kept watch and the bugs came?
No.
Set off?
Nope. I didn't know. I didn't have my cookbook then, so I didn't have that. I didn't have that recipe spell.
So
I haven't learned that recipe yet.
if we can use the alarm, would we need to have the moat as well as an alarm? I wonder.
Well, I don't think it's an alarm.
Probably.
More of just like a slow down the things that trigger the alarm.
Well, that's fair, guys. But I'm also thinking if we need to get out of the moat and the berm, then we're going to have a much harder time.
I can just
Filling
refill the
the
hole, or we can leave a couple spaces that are free to go. Kind of like
Mhm.
at the corners or something. I could easily pop out if we need to, and if it's super defensible, they might want to stay there instead of chase us. They're like, "Oh, cool, we got like this mini fort." Then we can just go, and they're like, "Huh, well, we scared them off. We have this cool thing now." That's how people think, right?
One
The jungle.
question I suppose I have would be for if someone were to jump over the hole.
Then hopefully, if that happens, the alarm would have been set off, so we would all be awake, and then I assume that's going to slow them down. And then as soon as they land, I can just create bonfire where they land.
How big of an area does alarm fit?
Each casting, I believe, is up to 40 square feet.
And it's a first level spell?
Yes.
All right.
Casting is a ritual.
Ah, I see.
That's the only way I can cast it.
Well, yes, I think we should give it a try. What do you think?
What do we got to lose?
I mean, we can try it and just see how it goes. I'm not opposed to that. If
And
it
this
draws
way,
more attention, but we handle it more easily, that might be, honestly, it might be better.
Yep. And with our little dirt walls, we can have like a campfire that won't get flooded by the rain.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that would be... Because if you're making a moat and a berm going all the way around you, that would create an area for there to be like a puddle. Right? So you'd need to make sure that it can still drain into that moat.
It'll be a learning process. Like, oh, that's like, ooh, my feet are getting more wet than they should. And if need be, I'll just make another 5-foot hole on the other side of the wall. And then the wall's 10 feet now with a 5-foot on each side.
Right. Okay. Cool. So what do you want to do?
I think I'm gonna do the. Well, I'm on first watch, so I have time. So I'm gonna kind of just chatting Yen Ben, I assume, about various survival things, about me digging holes, and he's like, "No, don't do that," and like, you get your boots wet or various other things. But I'm gonna leave the north.
Sorry. How much can you move Earth?
5-foot square.
Not a 5-foot
by 5
cube?
foot. Oh yeah, 5-foot cube. Yeah.
And it's a cantrip.
Yes.
How long does it take to cast?
6 seconds.
Yeah, okay. So that ends up being a lot. Yeah. Brad was posting the math, and I was thinking that it's not, the math is wrong. So, it doesn't, Brad, the math, you're saying here that, so the diameter of the moat. Okay, sorry, I misread it. Anyway, let's not focus on that too much. The point is we can get a lot of stuff in there. So, we're going to try it tonight and see what happens?
Sure.
Cool.
Stretch my magic muscles. But I'm going to leave the northeast corner and the southwest corner flat, and for either quick escape or whatever, just in case.
Okay. I would say, let's see, you're trying to make, you're basically trying to build fortifications, right? I'm guessing you're kind of doing this over the course of your first watch.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm keeping, watching where I'm going, and I rolled a 6, so you're not paying too much attention. I'm more focusing on my magic. The first time I've done this, I'm just, stretching my magic muscles, see what I can do.
Okay. So I would like you to make. I need to review this for a second. Because it wouldn't be a tactics. They don't have that in this game. But maybe. Let's just make it a straight intelligence check to see how effectively you can build these fortifications.
1. A 2 minus 1 is a 1.
So do you feel like Mordai would get too excited, too distracted, or do you just flood the camp? Because it's still raining.
I think with all the rain and the mud, it probably wouldn't even get that far. I tried to by the time I reach maybe 20 feet, it's just a muddy mess because I'll drag it up to make the wall, but it just gets wet and pools back down into the hole that I just made.
So it just does not work. There is no effect. There's no moat. There is no berm. Or when you do it, it's just you can do it, but that you pick up 5 feet, a 5-foot cube, and move it 5 feet over, but then it just kind of evens out, so you end up with a 2-foot berm and a 2-foot ditch. That's a really low slope. That would be really easy to climb over.
Yeah, I pretty much made wherever we're camping out is very, very wavy, very uneven ground now. Whatever time flattened it out is, I ruined it.
I do really like the idea. I will say that there's still some mechanical benefit if you guys have an encounter, but not nearly as much as it would have been if you rolled higher. Because I just want to reward that creativity, because that's a very creative use of the spell. So that being said, I need to figure out what this encounter is. Just one moment.
Please be the parade. Come on, let's go. Parade, parade, parade.
Tell me more about your moat.
The moat that doesn't exist, that I'm trying to make?
Yeah, about how it goes wrong and everything.
I think it'd be first time really using the spell, kind of casting my magic. It's not quite grabbing I guess you could say I'm underestimating the weight of water and how water reacts with dirt when left alone. And probably at some point might get it's not working, get frustrated and end up just playing around slightly in the mud. Splash, hit. Splash, splash. Yeah. Just making a real muddy mess. Like a stampede went through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Mordai's probably up past his knees in mud, making a mess. Yenben's grumbling somewhere about having to clean up and
Actually, you know what? I would say with Yenben there, he would probably help you with that. Roll your intelligence check with advantage. Roll that again and see what happens.
My first couple, Yenben got frustrated because I'm flopping around again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And he would have some battle experience to be able to kind of base it off of.
16.
Much better. Much better. So you end up building a very reasonable fortification that you're pretty confident if you got attacked by those tribals again, you'd have good cover. It give anybody behind that cover a bonus to AC. It would be difficult terrain for them to cross over that berm. Excellent work. This would be amazing. While all you and Yenben are working on that, we go to everyone else that is taking their long rest. Not just sleeping, but what do you two do during your long rest? How do you prepare for how do you recuperate from the day's travels?
think that John is so not used to traveling in this respect that whenever he gets to this point, he just goes, finds a tree, sits down, and just instantly, like, it's because he trances, he doesn't fully sleep. So
Right.
he finds a tree, he sits down. I think he takes the hand. I should give him a name. I'll give him a name. Call him Lefty. We'll take. How creative is that? We'll take Lefty and
We should name him Righty.
Righty. That's
Make
good.
it a left hand.
Righty, the left-hand man.
Yes. Retitherson. There you go. That's his name now. Retitherson. And he places it on his eyes as like a sleep mask, and then just instantly tranced.
As you're putting it on your face, you do notice that it's been a few days, and this hand is starting to smell. And you've just put it like 2 inches from your nose.
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay, I think that's enough to break the trance. Wake up.
Yeah. And maybe relocate it a little bit.
Yeah. Retitherson gets put way far away on the he gets put down by my feet. I will bet you when we find a stream or when we're in the town. For now, just stay close, and stay safe, but don't come near my nose.
Nice. At the same time, Lila is pretty much the opposite of Jean in that she is very used to traveling. She's very comfortable living in an even simpler camp than we have right now. And so for her, she goes through her nightly routine of like, if there's any, do we have any like small water source nearby by chance?
Sure, we can say there is one.
Yeah, so she's gonna go and wash her face and always be looking around for useful plants as she's going, and then just systematically checks through all her personal items and settles down and unrolls her bedroll for the night, and just kind of lays down and relaxes into kind of an awake but restful kind of state, and just is listening to the jungle around them and getting a sense of what birds she can hear, what can she hear, wind, can she hear other things happening, and kind of taking the temperature, as it were.
Yeah. Okay.
Very
Well,
survivalistic.
I can't find what I was looking for, so thank you for vamping. You've done a wonderful job, but I think we're just going to have to take a little break so I can look up this encounter and make it work, okay? So we will be
so
right
much
back.
parades.
Is
Whole
that
caravan.
Santa Claus? Is that Santa Claus with our gifts?
Of course. And we're back. So, Lila, you lay your head to sleep. What's on your mind as you drift off?
Well, so she's listening to the bird species that are around, and one of the things she hears is a bird that a friendly village she knew growing up called the moat. And the other thing that she knows about that bird is that it tends to hang around caves. And so as she's drifting off, she's thinking about how there might be a limestone cave nearby, or there might be some other kind of similar feature that's attracting these birds. And so she's kind of thinking about that as she's drifting off. Is like, okay, well, what else is around me that I should be aware of?
You dream of this moat bird, and you hear it. And as you listen closely to its calls, you fall asleep, and you dream of this cave. And the calls of this bird change to cries for help, echoing out of this cave that you've imagined. What do you do in the dream?
In the dream, I imagine that I'm awake, that Lila is awake, and that she's in the camp. And so the first thing she does is look around her in the camp to see if everyone is still asleep, or if there's anything going on that she can see in the camp, and then starts trying to listen for the direction of where the noise is coming from. So
as you're looking around and checking your surroundings, you do not see your companions at all, resting or otherwise. Zongo and Banana Candy are not there. Their sleeping bags are empty. Their rations uneaten. The traces of their presence are there. You see the moat that you've heard Mordai digging is complete. But them themselves, you're alone. And you don't see anything dangerous around you. But you feel uneasy and abandoned. And you hear that cry for help.
Okay. Now, in the dream, can she make an investigation roll?
That would have been your investigation.
Okay.
In the dream, rolls, we won't roll about as many things. It's much more narrative and much less chance.
Okay. So she sees that there's nobody in the camp. She's listening for where the cry for help is coming. She doesn't want to linger too long, but she also, having been in the jungle a long time by herself, is naturally pretty cautious about strange happenings. Yes. So she's going to try to sneak in, like, I guess quietly move in the direction that she thinks the sound is coming from, trying not to draw attention to herself.
Okay. And as you approach, you go unnoticed, and you see that there is, in this cave, there is it's not as deep as a well, but there is sort of a chasm in this cave from which this voice is calling out. It's a woman's voice, possibly human, maybe orc, you're not sure.
So it's not, if it's interesting. Anything else you can say about the sound, the way the voice sounds?
Help! Help! My leg! With more echoey stuff because it's coming from a chasm inside a cave.
Inside
Brad,
a cave.
I will leave that to you. We'll fix it in post.
Do spell slots cast in dreams count as spell slots cast in life?
No, they do not.
Okay. All right. So actually the first thing she's going to do is she's going to use the cantrip Produce Flame. Okay. And create so she's going to have a little bit of, actually I'm going to change my mind, if that's okay. Instead of instead of using produce flame, I'm going to see if she can use Druidcraft and create a small, like a group of lights that looks like a clump of fireflies that she can send towards the chasm.
Yeah, I would say, sure, you can do that. Especially in the dream. Dreams don't have to follow the same rules. You do this and it is... The swarm is numerous. And they glow more brightly than naturally occurring fireflies, and they move into the cave. You stand at the mouth of this cave, at the threshold of deciding whether or not to enter. And the chasm from which this voice is coming is just far enough in that you have to step into the cave if you want to be able to see in. But it is more brightly lit now.
Okay, so in that case, so it's more brightly lit. She's gonna cast guidance on herself before she goes in, and then she's gonna attempt to sneak in and see if she can see over the edge of the chasm.
And you look down and you see a middle-aged woman who is a human woman, and she says, "Oh, thank goodness you're here. Please help me. Do you have a rope? Help me out."
Lila's going to... Okay, Lila says, okay, yeah, I can get a rope. How did you get in here?
The woman, clothed in rags and burlap, says, It's been so long, I don't remember. Please, I need you to help me out. My leg." And she shows you, she only has one leg. The other leg is amputated from the knee down.
Okay, so she doesn't appear to be injured.
No, it looks like whatever caused her to lose that leg was a long time ago. Maybe she was born like that. Who knows?
Okay. So, all right, so Lila didn't bring the rope with her when she walked to the cave, so she would have to go back to her.
Wouldn't you have it in your pack?
Well, we didn't say that I took the pack with me when I left the camp. So if you
Okay.
think I have it with me,
You can go back to camp and grab it, and I'd like you to make an insight check with that guidance that you gave yourself.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Okay. You gain no new information with this roll. Oh,
Hang on, I haven't done my guidance yet.
Okay, so a 10.
That takes it up to a 10.
I'll say with that, as you leave the cave and you walk closer to the camp, as you cross the threshold out of the cave, you feel safer. First, maybe it was just the ambience of the cave, the inky darkness, or maybe just that feeling of like looking over the edge is very unnerving. But you step away and you feel the hair on the back of your neck kind of relax in a way that you didn't notice that you were kind of holding your breath before. Why didn't you help me? Why didn't you help me?
I'm getting my rope.
Half-orc druid. Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are, woman in chasm?
Do you turn to say this to the chasm? To talk to her?
At this point, I'm like in the camp getting my rope out of my bag, and so I'm not turning around, but I might say it like kind of into my bag as I'm like getting the rope out, wondering if this is such a good idea.
Okay. So you you have second thoughts. You're grabbing the rope, you have your bag. You have everything you need. Do you return to help the woman?
Lila doesn't want to leave someone. She doesn't want to leave someone out there in danger by themselves, but she's feeling like she's in danger. And so since she's got her bag and she's also wondering where everybody is, and can she like look around and see if there's any footprints or any tracks or anything, like, can she do that?
There's nothing. As if they poof. Almost as if they were never there. They're not a part of the stream. They're not a part of this space.
If she's, I mean, are we saying that she's aware that she's dreaming, or is she's aware that she's dreaming?
Well, you know what? Make a wisdom check.
Okay, yeah.
How lucid is she? Yeah, she knows she's in a dream.
Okay, so in the dream, she's gonna, since it's a cantrip, she's gonna cast guidance on herself again.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's gonna go back up to the entrance of the cave.
Okay,
and
so
see.
As soon as you have your bag and you turn around to go back to the cave, the woman is standing there saying, "Why didn't you help me? Are you a bad person? I could have died in there."
Lila is now getting very uncomfortable. She's very hesitant to say anything. She's being quiet because she doesn't trust that this might be a spirit. This might be something that's kind of trying to get her to do something, so it has justification. Like, can she do an insight check and see, like, or sense motive?
Go ahead. Do insight with that guidance. Yeah,
okay.
Sense motive is the other system.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Okay,
and
then guidance. 1 second. Okay, so that's an 18 total.
Nice. Well, I would say that wisdom check and that insight check together, you are getting the feeling that you did not dream up this woman. She is a guest in your dream. A guest might not be the right way to put it.
Uninvited guest? Okay. She's thinking about all the rules that she knows about human and orc hospitality, and hospitality of things that she's encountered in Chult. I think she would want to say something to the effect, or want to try to say something to the effect of, hey, you have crossed into my personal domain. And if you're asking me for help, then you need to tell me what you're asking for. Then please tell me what you're asking for.
Your domain. Oh, I see. I did not know the druids had co-opted the land of dreams. No, druid. This is not your domain at all.
It's my dream.
Oh, but it's my world. And then suddenly you feel a clump of hair ripped from your head and you awaken to a bluish purple skinned woman, old and grisly with rotten teeth, laughing, holding a clump of your hair. And she disappears, and everyone in the camp hears her cackle as she fades away into the ethereal. And that is a little too early to end tonight's session, so we're going to keep going. But how does everyone respond? I just looked at the time and I was like, wait, no, way too soon. We can't have a 5-minute session.
Probably confusion with like an Eldritch Blast almost ready to go, crackling in his fingertips. Like,
Mhm.
like oh, and like a side eye to Yenben to see like if arrows are flying, Eldritch Blasts are flying. But I
You
don't.
both turn to see Lila where the laughing took place, and you turn quickly enough to see this woman standing over her. Go ahead and roll initiative. We'll see if you guys can get a hit in.
Well, I said I was gonna do it if I don't know if Yenben fire.
Oh, I think Yenben would go for it.
I think he would go for it. Okay. So yeah, you all can get a shot in. I'm gonna have to pull up the stats for this.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Good job, everybody.
Yeah, I just need to know how many hit points it has.
If it has hit points, we can kill it.
Okay, great. That's what I thought. So yeah, everybody roll an attack. Oh, was that no? Those were initiatives. Go ahead and roll attacks.
And a 16.
Okay. Everybody, let me know what you get. Everybody, roll at once
For hit DCs? Okay.
for hit it for an attack.
Or for... Oh.
Okay, that's a dirty 23, y'all.
Nice. Okay, is that everybody?
Wait, one
Did
sec.
Yenben get an attack in?
One
yet.
sec. Sorry. This is where it's going to take me a minute to figure out. Okay, I'll do John's first, and then Yenben. So, okay, for Yenben, this counts as a surprise attack if you hit a creature that's not taken a turn yet in the combat.
I'd
Or
say
has
she
taken-
probably took a turn by. She's surprising all of you, not the
Yeah,
other
so
way
she
around.
got the surprise attack. Okay.
So no
sounds
surprise
good.
attack.
I'm gonna do the favored foe. Hit a creature
Okay.
with an attack. You can mark the.
I think you need to roll just to hit first.
It
'Cause I
looks
don't
like
think
you just
Yeah, you
have to hit first. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
you do
You're
that.
just doing the attack. Roll an attack.
Don't worry about damage
okay.
yet.
And I'll just go with the bow.
Just a D20 plus bow. Yep.
Whoa. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Did that send it? I don't think it sent it into.
Oh, here we go.
That work?
Yep, I got it. I see an 11.
Yeah.
11?
Okay.
Alrighty.
So, John misses. Yenben misses. Lila hits. Mordai misses. Lila, what attack were you making?
She was. Well, so since this person is right on top of her, I was gonna see if we could say that that's a thorn whip, but that it's very close range. So
yeah, that works. So go ahead and roll damage for thorn whip. All right.
Which is not a lot, but it's piercing damage, by the way.
Okay. So as you roll this, as you make this attack and you conjure the whips to lash at her, and they wrap around her successfully and pull, and she already fades into mist before you have the chance to do anything else. You can see that it gripped on, but there's only so much damage that you can do in one round.
There's one more thing for Yenben, which is the Dread Ambusher special. On the first attack, he gets if he takes the attack action on that turn, he can take an additional weapon attack as part of that action.
But that's only with people who have not acted in the initiative yet, right?
That is just at the start of his first turn of each combat.
Okay, sure. Roll another attack.
Just another bow.
Dirty 20, that'll hit. Go ahead and roll damage. Oh, that's 11 piercing?
11. Yeah.
Right. So you see that the one arrow goes flying past her. Another one seems to get... You're not sure if it hits or not. And as she disappears, you see that her blood is on that arrow as it hits the ground. But she leaves the thorn whip and the arrow behind and disappears.
Blood for blood.
And
fair transaction.
Lila, you're now bleeding from somewhere on your forehead and a chunk of your hair is missing.
Lila.
She is displeased.
You have a new haircut, Lila. It looks fantastic.
Well, what was that?
Do you know who that was, though?
And she kind of puts her hand to her head, and I was gonna see if she can attempt to mend it while she's talking to Jean. So just like use mending to.
Or you could heal yourself. Don't you have cure wounds?
I do have cure wounds, but we didn't talk about damage. Mostly she's just annoyed that her hair's messed up right now.
I mean, fair. Yeah, you could just do a mending on it. That's probably fine.
Okay. Yeah, so she's going to do a mending. And
so it's not a lot of hair. It's just, it seemed like she wanted the hair and she grabbed just a couple more than necessary, and it just took some skin with it. It's not like, oh yeah, there's a dime-shaped hole in your skull. No, it's like
okay,
maybe no, it's tiny, but it's a head wound, so it'll just bleed, you know.
Well, she's still like it obviously stings, so she's a little grumpy about that. Like, she's been in combat plenty of times and she understands getting injured, but this is just like a nuisance that she doesn't like. And so, but she doesn't want to ignore Jean, so she's like, as she's trying to like figure out what's going on with her hair, she's like, no, I don't know this person. She came into my dream while I was sleeping, and tried to lure me into a cave. I came back to the camp and got my rope because she said she needed help. But I was feeling pretty creeped out by her, so I didn't want to go back in the cave. But as soon as I turned around, she was on top of me like you guys saw, and I was awake.
Yes, she was very scary. I don't think I've ever seen someone that's quite so hag-like before.
Did you get any magic? Any new spells? That's when I have weird dreams. I wake up with new magic. Do you have any new magic?
Well, you've seen it all so far, Mordai. I just woke up, so
Worst
maybe there's
patron
something-
ever. Involuntary patron. That's
involuntary, unknown patron who just like rips out your hair and leaves. No, thank you.
I mean, that sounds like Tomb of. That sounds like the Pact of the Tome Warlock in a nutshell. A lot of the time, anyway. Sorry, you guys are doing good role playing. I'm interrupting. Please continue.
Yeah. So no, I don't think so. But if I find something, I'll let you know.
I think we should just take a pause really quick. Sorry, there's an emergency alert going off on my phone.
Okay, let's take a quick timeout. And we're back again. Sorry about that, everybody. Emergency alerts. Just had to check out what was going on. So, where were we? Lila was just sharing her experiences with the dream last night and discussing this strange old woman that appeared in the middle of their camp without setting off any of the alarms.
The alarm is only on the perimeter,
Yeah.
but now I'll be casting it inside the zone. Makes my routine a little bit longer, but now I know.
How does anyone have any idea what that was? Was that human? Did you get a good look at her?
Could I do an Arcana check on that? See if I can
Are you trying
pull
to
anything out of
tell?
my.
Are you trying to tell if they are human or if, or just identify specifically what has these abilities, kind of thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
John,
like what kind of being would have the abilities? Is it something that I would have encountered in my training as a druid or in my travels?
Okay, go ahead and make an Arcana check.
Can I give advantage or the help action? Oh, actually, it doesn't matter anyways.
Yes, you can roll with advantage.
Okay.
What do you say to assist them?
I think it's just kind of spitballing back and forth with like my knowledge from school and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
that's cool. So
disappearing-
we're kind of sharing notes.
Yeah.
So, in terms of creatures that have these abilities, I mean, your first thought is, okay, looks like an old woman does creepy shit. Maybe it's some kind of hag. Right? That's a pretty safe bet. However, as a druid, you would probably be more familiar with green hags and sea hags and things like that. And they don't have the ability to kind of just disappear like that. This did not look like she was casting a spell. It was an innate ability that this creature has. So, could be a hag, but it's not one of those two.
Okay. From what I know about hags, do I know anything about them going into people's dreams or affecting them that way?
That might be more of a history check.
Okay.
If anybody wants to make a history check on sort of hag lore.
Nope.
Does anyone else want to make a history check?
Yeah. I'll see if that's something they had in the books at school. Like a chapter on hags.
Mm-hmm.
I just look at you, John, and I'm like, I don't know.
17. Okay. So sorry, can you repeat what that question was there, Galadrimmon?
Maybe I'll just ask ask John since he
Yeah.
seems to have some knowledge of this. And I'll ask you. Do you have any recollection of hags going into people's dreams or going between dreams and reality in your wizardly training?
I think on a 17 with a history check, Jean, you think, okay, well, dreams are a connection into the ethereal plane, and as soon as you say ethereal plane and hags in the same thought, night hags can travel through the ethereal plane. This was probably a night hag.
Yes, I do remember it was like in the textbook, there's the main articles, and then you have that small article on the side in the little box. It said, night hags can travel into dreams. And yeah, it was one of the questions on my quiz that I totally got right the first time.
No, what's funny is this creature is actually in the side. That's why I was having so much trouble finding this creature, is because it's in the sidebar in a different chapter from the random encounters. So I just imagine that's exactly how it was laid out in your academic textbook.
He's just reading the player's handbook.
some obscure little thing. No, not the player's handbook. The Tomb of Annihilation module.
Oh, right.
But that's part of his actual wizard training. It just breaks the fifth wall and he reads the books.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. So she might have been a night hag. Do we know anything like hags? Most of the hags I know are greedy for power. They want something from you. They usually have been around, and while they may not always be the most intelligent, they are usually pretty clever, right? And up to no good. Pretty much all the
And
time.
you don't want to give them your blood
Or your hair.
or your
But you
teeth.
don't want to give them anything, really, do you?
Nope.
Is there a way we can track your hair?
Well, I mean, there were 3 casters between us. What could we do?
And Ben chimes up and says, 3.5.
Of course. Sorry, didn't mean to leave you out.
For me,
Get my book.
tracking wise, I'm not very good.
Okay.
That's
I'm
a very
kind
quick
of like-
question, though.
I have nothing in the cookbook. I got nothing. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Wait, hang on a second.
Make a note.
I'm going to say yes, I think there is a spell that would work. I don't know if any of you have it or any of your characters would know what that spell is.
Yeah, I don't
But
think so.
I will say a nagging feeling of there's got to be a spell for this definitely exists. It's like there's an app for that. There's a spell for that.
Yeah, magic's whack.
I mean, yes, you're right. It absolutely is black for it. Could I try to detect magic to see if it's anywhere, if the hair or her is still anywhere nearby?
Go ahead and cast Detect Magic. There's no rules or anything for that, right? Could you just read the description?
So for the duration, so she does cast it as a ritual, and so she's kind of, I'm going to say she is systematically progressing her way through the camp as she's casting it over a 30-foot area to sense any presence of magic in the camp other than the alarm spell that she knows is already there. If there is anything there, it should glow faintly, and I should be able to tell what kind of magic it is.
So yeah,
what
you
school
definitely
it is.
detect the alarm spells that have been placed, around the area and stuff. You would also, if anybody has any magic items, that would also give off a magic aura. The familiar lefty or litigious, whatever John named that little hand. That's
Rigor mortis?
giving off rigor mortis.
Ridiculous.
They would light up with
They would glow.
with necromantic energy, and
So we just learned something about our handy friend.
I am not into necromancy, so this is
Well,
an
it seems
interesting update.
Vertigious seems like he isn't, or they are into.
I would
Messy.
say that where you were sleeping, you would detect elements of conjuration magic.
Okay.
And I need you to make an insight check.
Okay. And I just want to say, I think that when she's looking at her personal space, she's actually very gently but very intensely sniffing.
Okay, cool.
So an insight check, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do smell a certain amount of kind of, the conjuration seems to smell kind of sulfurous a little bit of that rotten egg kind of smell. Hard to tell how much of that's the magic and how much of that came from a woman, right?
Yeah,
But
fair enough. But I can smell her still here then. She was here.
yeah. She was here. She was physically present. That much you are certain. For a moment. Just for an
And
instant.
so I can detect conjuration magic. It does it seem like it's fresh? Does it seem like it's been there for a while?
It, like within the last 5 minutes, it was just, that's the,
Okay, so
that was from her appearing and disappearing. That was conjuration.
Okay.
Which I'm sure John would probably be able to tell you that conjuration is moving between planes is very much within the realm of the conjuration school. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I would probably know that too, having a little bit of magical experience.
His understanding's a little bit more academic. That's why I say that John.
From the books.
Fair. Well,
yours is a little bit more like it's. Oh, I forget the words that you always use when we're talking about like the scientific definition of something versus when it's something that's more like it's not describing it using bacteria, but if it's a curse and it describes the same things, then what's the difference? What are those words again?
So the edict, which is the external or like third-party explanation, usually relying on like a science or a medicalized sort of
Yes.
viewpoint, versus what you're talking about is Lila's emic understanding.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was trying to describe.
You know, this is something that she learned from her dad. She learned from the Druid Circle. She has learned it in the context of living in Chult and what that is like here, and what that means to her personally. So
exactly. So you would have a different interpretation of the same information. His academic explanation would be, oh yes, conjuration is, how
Shit,
you move
I gotta
between
go.
planes.
Okay. See you guys.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, I think we've probably covered enough territory on this, and I'm ready to call it a night. How about you guys?
I think
We
so.
can pick this up next week. Thank you for joining us, and have a good sleep well.
Don't let the night hags bite.
thanks.
Yeah.